Welcome back guys to Man a Lot, and today's video we'll be seeing some of the worst moments from Patrick Bet-David's debate on Jubilee. These are like the worst takes that people had on Jubilee. Let's start with this one.
How are you? What's your name?
Hi, I'm Alana. It's nice to meet you. Okay, so I think the issue is the framing of incentive here. Incentive doesn't disappear in a socialist or a communist society. It just changes and evolves. So we see in capitalism the incentive is obviously monetary gain, maybe even collecting capital itself through land ownership. In a communist or a socialist country, you would see incentive would just evolve into, I know it's a vague term, but the common good. You have an incentive to do your chores around your house because you don't want to live in a filthy house, right? That makes sense. It doesn't have to be just monetary.
So you don't think monetary incentive drives people, or you're saying that people should be excited to do their job, whether they're getting incentivized for it or not? That's what you're saying?
People will be incentivized to do
Give me a case study. Give me a case study of that worked. Give me one case study.
We don't even need to look at case studies. We can just look at charity work.
Well, why don't we actually look at a case study?
There is no case study to look at.
You got two countries, North Korea, South Korea. One is communism and one is capitalism.
Yes.
North Korea's GDP last year was $23 billion.
Are we judging countries' values based off GDP
that's
and not
because
what
that's
they
a
value
job,
for
freedom of speech. You can't, like,
or...
if you lived in North Korea, you wouldn't be able to do what you're doing right now. You wouldn't have a voice. In South Korea, I'm gonna give you stats. In South Korea, their GDP is $1.7 trillion.
South Korea is also owned by like 5 companies in total in the entire
70
country.
times better
you think
than
that's
North
something
Korea.
to live by? If you are employed by the top 5 countries, you are practically unemployed in these countries.
Do you like to be free?
I'm not going to be free in a country like South Korea where I'm only employed.
You are, to be honest, there's no regulation that stops you from doing or opening a business in South Korea or being an entrepreneur and trying to do your best. There's nothing that stops you there. You could actually open a business and make it better and, improve and, get rich from it and then make it, scale it. But in North Korea, you know what's going to happen to you. You won't be able to even speak about it. So,
do you like to be free to call somebody out like me? Do you like to be free where you can have a strong opinion? Do you like to be free to have your dreams?
I like to be free, but that's why I'm anti-capitalist.
Well, maybe you ought to
That
move
is
to
why
North
I'm
Korea
anti-capitalist, because
or Cuba or
capitalism
Venezuela.
removes that choice. There is no real incentive of capitalism because the incentive is survival. When you get into communism, the incentive is for the common good.
I love that. I got an offer for you before we move on. If I were to give you your $2,350, which is the cost to renunciate your citizenship, and I paid you your first class, flight to whatever communist country, and $20,000 of spending money.
Name me a communist country.
Would you give up your citizenship to go to that country? Whichever communist country you want to go to.
Yeah,
Cuba, we can give you Venezuela, we give you North Korea, any one of those you want to go to.
Communist countries,
Choose any one of them, I'll give you a one-way ticket and I'll...
Her behavior instantly changed. Her demeanor instantly changed. The moment he said, I'm going to give you money, renunciate your citizenship and go to those communist countries. Now she don't want to talk about it. There's no communist country now. I don't understand this thing about them that whenever they talk about it, like, well, they talk, when you say them, well, go to the communist country and live in it. There's many examples out there. But no, it just hasn't been done perfectly in practice. It just hasn't been, done rightly. If we just do it rightly, this dream thing, like if we just do it rightly, it's going to work out. It's the best system ever. It's the same with socialist, if we just do it rightly one time, because even though it has been done many times in the past, and we know what happens when you do those things, and how it slowly turns into authoritarian state. No, it's not that. It's just it hasn't been done perfectly. If you just do it right, you're gonna get a better society. No, you don't.
I'll fund it for you if you want to.
That's it.
Thank you. Yes.
Well, this is how fast their argument drops once you give them. Well, this is the second one.
My next claim is capitalism has lifted more people out of poverty than any other system.
Patrick.
How are you?
I'm Gabby.
Gabby?
Yeah.
Good
nice
to meet you.
So I would argue that governments have actually lifted the most people out of poverty. If you look historically, we look at China, for instance, had the most significant poverty reduction.
Nah, she did not. China. The same country that killed, 30 to 60 million people. That country?
in all of human history. They pulled 800 million people out of poverty using state-owned enterprises and state centralized planning. They did work.
What she forget to tell you is that they signed an agreement with WTO and they opened their markets to the foreign companies, and they became less strict and less state controlled. And that's why, even if you see, the moment they opened their market, I guess in 2001 or 2002, from 2002 to 2006, the GDP per capita grew by 48.3% and went from like $1,200 to $1,780. So it happened after they opened their markets to foreign goods and investment and foreign companies, and did the same for foreign companies. They start putting less tax on them once they signed the WTO agreement. So once such, choose capitalistic approach to their market became more free, guess what happened? Their country grew.
With the capitalist system, but they did it, most of it was done through state-funded infrastructure, education, and contributing to strong literacy programs, redistributing the wealth. I think that my other argument would be that there hasn't been an opportunity for alternative systems like socialism to pull enough people out of poverty. So we look at examples.
There hasn't been?
There hasn't been enough opportunities for them to succeed. And so when
Why
we
do you
say,
think that is?
I think that is partly because of the US, and I think because capitalist forces and global market insecurities have sabotaged these attempts to do socialism. So we look at an example in Chile in the 1960s. They elected a democratic socialist, and he proposed literacy reform, wealth redistribution, land reform, and all of that was a threat, obviously, to the United States because McCarthyism was on the rise at the time. And so instead of allowing Allende to have a chance with that, the U.S. Orchestrated a CIA-backed coup to take over and to have a military dictatorship that led the country instead of Allende, who actually was having a lot of success in reducing the poverty rates before the U.S. interfered. And so I think we look at other parts of Latin America, like Venezuela, for instance, and we see the same thing. We see that the U.S. has interfered several times. With Chavez in Venezuela, he was able to reduce the poverty reduction in half in the first decade of him being in office, and he was sabotaged ultimately by the U.S. and by a military dictatorship, so that the people that replaced them were actually.
So may I respond? It's sure. A lot of different cases here. So
sure.
Thank you for that.
Of course.
Let's go China first. Okay, so when you say China was able to recover and because they use state-funded, nationalized systems.
Yep.
So in 1978, Xiaoping, the leader of China, went to Japan. He saw what was going on with Japan for 2 decades. Every year, their GDP was growing by 15%. The economy was doubling pretty much every 4 years.
Sure.
They go over there, they say, we got to find a way to compete with Japan. How do they have fewer people, but they're beating us? They sit down with their leaders after a few drinks. Eventually, they say, how did you fix your economy to be growing the way that it is? A capitalistic society that they had in Japan. They asked the question from Xiaoping, the Prime Minister Fukuda, asked the question, how many banks do you guys have in China? He says, we have 1 bank. He said, it's a nationalized bank? He says, yeah. That's it? Yeah. How many loan officers do you have? Not many. You want to compete with 1 bank? Yes. He says, if you want to compete with us or others, here's what you have to do. You need 5,000 banks with 35 branches, with 30 loan officers. That's a total of 5.25 million loan officers and a population of 600 million people that are living there. You do that every week. You take 10 applications with these loan officers for small business owners, and you allow the small business owner to compete. They did that. China started competing. By the way, in America in the 1920s, we had around 30,000 banks when we were really, competing in a marketplace. In the 80s, we ended up having around 14,000. Today, we only have 4,100 banks in America. That concept of allowing just 1 bank to compete, it's not going to work. China takes on the idea from Japan.
If I can interrupt you, I think that
they start growing with certain capitalistic philosophies.
I think you're thinking about this in very capitalist terms, which makes sense. You're a capitalist, but
because it works. That's
China did some things in capitalistic approach, so the people looked at that and said, "Well, see, that's a capitalistic approach," and you look at it and say, "Well, you only see it as capitalistic approach because you believe in capitalism," but it doesn't matter if I believe in capitalism or not. It is a capitalistic approach. It's just a fact. It doesn't matter what I believe in personally. It's a fact that they did a thing that was capitalistic approach. So I think she's wrong there.
It's the idea because it's produced the
You're only thinking about
results.
these scenarios in a situation where market mechanisms are in place, and this is the problem that I have with so many capitalists is they can't exit their worldview and try to see a world where socialism could be in place because they don't understand the untapped potential of socialism. And I'm a democratic socialist. I think that we need to build forward towards that with.
Now you could make the same argument for socialists that they don't never really see capitalism out of their socialist mindset. They always see capitalism as a bad thing. And if they ever came out of their socialist mindset, they will understand that capitalism is not actually a bad thing. It just rewards the one who has better skills.
Reforms, and I think we need to work with the government. I don't think that we should abandon the state. I also don't think that we should give state elites the complete control over society. I do think that we should work with the state to instill these reforms and then eventually erode capitalism.
But unfortunately, socialism has had hundreds of
But
years
you're thinking in terms of
to produce
competition.
results, and it hasn't worked. Do you know why it doesn't work, though?
It's been sabotaged.
It's been sabotaged, or
Yes.
it's because it forces people to do something they don't want to do?
Does capitalism
Right.
not do the same?
No, capitalism gives
there's
you the-
7 million people in this
capitalism
country
allows
who
you
have to
to
work
choose.
multiple jobs just to get
I
by.
had to work multiple jobs for
They're
a season.
forced to do
Yeah.
that because either they do that or they starve. So if the options are to work or to starve, that's
they-
not
but
freedom,
they-
that's economic
if you,
coercion.
If you do, respectfully, if you do that for a period of your life, I understand it. If you're doing that for 30 years, you're doing something wrong. You shouldn't be working multiple jobs for the rest of your life.
So, first of all, I'm not going to argue with this moral argument. I think that people who live in poverty, especially when we look at how many people live in poverty in this country, and also it depends on how you define the poverty line, but there's 40 million Americans who live below the poverty line in this country. There's 3 guys in this country that own 40% of the wealth. How does that work in a country that is
You really
built
want to go
on-
there? You want
Sure.
to go there? Okay, so let's
Yeah.
talk about it. So when we talk about the rich people at the top,
Yeah.
okay, and you say, well, the rich don't pay enough taxes. Do you know what the bottom 50% of taxpayers in America pay towards the revenue that the government gets in taxes? Do you know what the bottom 50% pays?
Tell me.
2% of taxes. Do you know what the top 1% pays?
There's been several years
Do you know
that
what the
they've
top
paid
1%?
nothing.
Do you know?
They've paid nothing
No,
in
no,
their
hang on
federal
a second.
taxes.
This is from the IRS. I'm not writing a blog from Huffington
Sure.
Post. This is not Daily Beast. I'm telling you the
Well,
story. The top
I'll say
1%
this.
pays 42%
I'll say this, the
of
top
all
1%
tax
is
revenue.
about to pay a lot less in taxes because of the provision
They'll
that just went
actually
into
end up paying
Trump's,
even
your
more
guys'
revenue to the
big,
government.
beautiful bill.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right, let's move on to the third argument. That is just the worst.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Grace?
Yes, Grace.
Good to meet
Hi. I want to say that I think it's pretty comical that an elite such as yourself has the goal to tell us average Americans who's in poverty and who's not.
She just starts with like, you're an elite.
A lot of
I
times
was an average American.
You're
I
not
was a guy that
anymore.
was in poverty.
You're not anymore.
And you can also
you're
change.
Very,
You can also change.
Anyways,
Do you believe
you're
you can
talking down.
change?
A lot of times that the market for poverty is actually very low. So a lot of times like $2 a day is the line for how they measure poverty.
$2.15, yeah.
And that's ridiculous. So if I make $5 a day,
Yeah.
I'm not in
But that's
poverty.
because
I
it's
can
around the world,
actually
not
live.
in
I can pay
America.
the rent.
Sure.
But we're talking about this country, right? We're not
Mm-hmm.
talking about around the world. I've noticed that you like to do that. You like to
What?
like
Dude, you talked about the fact that there's $2 and he's like, it's $2.15. And he actually corrects you and says, well, that's around the world, not in the United States. In the United States, it's different. And she's like, oh, we're talking about United States. You made the point that it's $2.
skirt from America and talk about other
Yeah,
countries
actually, I've been
to
saying
try to
multiple
make it look like
times,
we're better, but we're
America's
actually
the
getting
greatest
worse.
country in the world.
Anyways, it's the greatest country.
Hands
We're
down, it's not
we
even
are at the
close.
highest that we've ever been with homelessness.
Again, a lie. I mean, it's right that the homelessness is the highest, but if you see the homelessness stats and you'll see in which states they are, which you need to know, it's that you'll see it in the top 10 states, you'll find probably, most likely, more than like 7 to 8 states are Democrat-run states. So maybe it got something to do with that. You know, just saying.
Since we started collecting
Why
data.
is that? Ask you, are you from
Because
California?
we haven't had a
Are
pay
you
raise
from
since
California?
2009.
Do you live
Our
here?
minimum wage nationally
Yeah.
is $7.25.
Okay.
And you wonder why we have the highest poverty rate. You think that capitalism's winning? Can you survive? Would you like to live off $7.25
I
an
used to
hour?
work for $4.25 at Haagen-Dazs.
Right.
Then I
And that
went
was a
and
very
worked
different time.
at Burger King for $4.75.
And how much do you make
Then
now?
I make millions today. Then
Right,
I
and
worked
that's
at
why
Bob's
you like
Big Boy.
capitalism, because we're not all making
but
that.
The, but
and
the
that's
difference
my point.
is, but
a
the difference
millionaire is
between
critiquing the people in
no,
poverty
the difference.
and saying
My
you should
hope,
work harder. You should work. You know,
my
you can
hope,
be me.
My
We can't
hope,
all be you.
My hope is that you believe you can change and improve, that you believe you can upgrade yourself. That's my
It's
belief.
very, you know what? That's what rich people
but-
like you want to keep telling us.
But
You can be
the
just like
difference-
me. Do you want to
yeah.
be like me? If you work hard enough,
I'm not
you can
saying
be like
that.
me.
I
It's
don't.
not very realistic.
It's actually, you wouldn't be able to be like me because
You're
you wouldn't
talking
work that
down to
hard.
people like
Would you
us.
work that hard?
Dude, he just called her. He just called.
You don't.
Would you-
I'm not going to tell you. I don't have
would-
to answer
would
that.
you- if you
I
don't
don't
choose
have to
to-
measure my I don't have to measure my work ethic to be worthy.
You don't have to. Then you can't be upset for others who do so. You
I
can't
can't
be upset.
for people who
no,
are struggling.
because they work
and that's
harder
what's wrong
than
with
you.
capitalism. Because
But
you
go back
think
to the
that
homelessness.
You have to work.
Not everyone who's struggling is struggling. Some people choose to struggle. Some people choose to not put effort into their work and then they complain that they're not getting enough. Some people actually are just lazy. You can't just look at every single person who's not rich and be like, well, it's because of the rich people. Well, he's not getting paid enough. Well, you can't just blame the rich just because someone else is poor. No, some people choose to be that. Some people refuse to get better. Some people refuse. If you say anything to them in getting better, they're like, whoa. It's like you touch a nerve on them. Like, oh, you can't say that. You're going to offend me. What?
So
Do
hard.
you live in the state of California?
I do.
Okay, you said homelessness.
Yes.
What do you think about your Governor Newsom? What do you think about him?
I don't like him. I'm a
Okay.
progressive. He doesn't do enough for the people.
Do you know when he was
he takes corporate money.
fantastic?
He takes money from people like
when
you.
he was,
he's not
I've
for the
never given
people.
him money. But do you know when he first
Oh,
became
that's
a
not a
governor,
surprise, but a
I
lot
would
of people
never
like
give
you
him
have.
money. But when he
Who have
became
you
a
given
governor
money?
first, when he became a governor first, from then till today, he's raised the amount of homelessness in this state by 36,000 people.
Okay, you know, I don't
he
like the
was
guy, but
given
he's not at fault for
24
homelessness.
billion
People like you
people.
are. Billionaires like you are the
Taxpayers gave
problem.
him 24 billion. Taxpayers
I believe it. I
gave
don't
him
like that guy.
$24 billion, and he didn't do nothing with it.
Vote
It
him out.
increased.
Vote him out.
You
He's
vote
just
him
like
out. You have him. It's not that.
That's what I'm
it's,
saying. I'm
but
not
no,
here
I would
to
tell
defend
you.
Newsom.
You
I don't think Californians is going to vote him out. I just don't think so.
can
But
go.
you're not much different than him. That's all I'm saying. You're in the same class.
But
you're
you're sitting here blaming a
Right.
person who's changed their lives for the better, and it's their fault. My dad was.
This is not the United
my
States
dad,
of Patrick Bet
do,
David.
Do you know
this
where?
is the United States of America.
I know, and I'm
all
so
of our
grateful to
people.
be here. I'm
and you
so
say
grateful
that,
to
but are
be
you
here.
willing to pay more
I
taxes
am
so that
so
other people don't
grateful to be
suffer?
here.
Are you willing to pay more
I
taxes
am
so other
so
people
grateful
don't
to
suffer?
be here.
That's socialism.
I see you're
My
skirting the question. You're not willing.
My dad was a cashier in Inglewood at a 99-cent store.
That's
we
great.
had nothing. No, I don't tell you that's great. We had nothing.
Well, I know
I'm
where
the
this is
guy that had
going.
I'm the guy that had a
the propaganda that you
but
guys-
what
so
you
you can
don't
be like
but
me.
what you don't
Oh my God, just look at her. She have this victim mentality of like, I am the one with poor. It's just weird, man. I couldn't stand her. He's telling his story, a real story that happened with him, and he's like, oh, it's the propaganda that you use. It's not propaganda, it's his life. He could tell it. If he came from zero and now he has millions, he got every right to tell the story. Again and again, 1,000 times. I don't care.
want to hear is
Under
that because it's the
capitalism,
truth.
we
Can I ask you a
cannot all be
question?
like you.
When's the last time you read a business book? When's the last time you read a self-help book?
I don't need to answer that. Oh,
When's the last time you read a
I
self-help?
wrote a self-help book.
Tell me
I'm a
what-
writer. I'm a creative.
Tell me what
and I
self-help
also,
book you read.
She needs some self-help.
I'm not,
Give
I
me
don't
one.
Need to.
Give me one you read. Are you willing to take one recommendation?
No.
You're not.
Not for
Then
me.
I can't help you.
That's okay. I don't need your help. I didn't
Then-
come here
then
for your
great.
help. I
You've
came
been
here to
flagged
debate
out.
you. Good.
Awesome.
God damn, these people, insufferable. You can't talk to them if they're not ready to engage. You know. Well, you could. It's like that thing. You know. You could wake up a person who's in sleep, but you cannot wake up a person who's pretending to be asleep. They don't have an open mind.
My next claim is if all the money in the world were divided equally, it would return to the same pockets within 5 years. What's your name?
Caleb.
Caleb?
Yeah, so you just said that you are proposing if we divided all the wealth equally in like 5 years. How would you propose we divide the wealth in that way? In this thought experiment, again,
Right.
if we're going to give it a serious
Right.
look, I want to understand, how would you propose that happen?
I hope you realize this is just a question we're asking everybody, right? But if you take all the wealth, which is around $500 trillion, okay, give or take, you divide it by 8 billion people,
Okay.
it would be around $62,500 each. Within 5 years, the people that don't know how to handle money themselves, they would lose it all. And within 5 years, the same wealthy would get the same amount of money.
As someone who certainly doesn't make that much money, I'm willing to take that as a gamble just for fun.
Right,
I'll be
sure.
honest, but
Yeah.
at the same time, like, okay, so you're just now claiming that people who don't have wealth don't know how to manage it. And that's fair because a lot of them have never had it before. So what do we do to basically ensure that people like myself who are currently, thank you to the United States, thank you to the state of California for giving me medical insurance
This dude seems fishy to me. I don't know why.
to get blood work, for giving me food stamps so I can have food. I've applied to I don't know how many hundreds of jobs. I can show you the receipts. I can show you the email confirmations. Like, I am trying my best to use my values with the freedom that we have
So if
here.
I gave you a job, you would work 40 hours a week?
If the job is in alignment with something that's noble and good, I think I could. The issue is, and again, you may say that this is a personal weakness, but like right now, substitute teaching, tutoring, trying to help in that way is making it so that I'm able to scratch by.
Yeah.
But without the supplemental income and the help from the society of people who make more money, I'm going to not have enough
if I
food.
May, I want to address something which you made a point that I agree with. On why don't some people create wealth? In my family, when I was growing up, and I was telling this young lady over here, when my dad was a cashier at a 99-cent store, we've never owned an insurance policy before. My parents, we've never owned a house before. I've never lived in an apartment with a swimming pool before. We've never had a 401k, stock, mutual fund, none of that stuff. I had no clue how money worked. So for me, when I got out of the Army with a 1.8 GPA, out of high school, I went straight to the Army because I didn't know how money works. If you look at our system today, in high school, we learn about a lot of different things. They don't teach us about taxes, finances, mutual funds, stocks, bonds. Colleges don't even teach a lot of that right now. So
Do you
come
work in
out.
a high school?
Did I work
Do
at
you
a high
have
school?
do you have experience like me, someone who's essentially on those front lines working in?
I've worked with many high school teachers and the directors of psychology to talk to the youth. Yes,
So
I have.
right now, I'm in a position where I have options, like you said. I do have some options, but they seem to be somewhat destructive and exploitative of me, of my peers. So I'm trying
I think
to
you're too
discriminate.
selective for jobs right now. You don't have the ability to be
Right.
selective at this stage.
Well, but the thing
Also, I don't believe when he says that he have, like applied for hundreds of job. If someone who's been applying for hundreds of job must be so desperate that whenever someone says, well, here's a job, you're gonna cling to it. Like you're gonna like jump onto it without even asking what the job is.
is
really
I do
wanna make
because I'm
some-
instilled with a freedom that is maybe God universe given, and I don't
What is this?
actually have
Yeah.
to because of the system, like you said. I don't have to play along with some corrupt game. So I gave up
I think California
a
is
career.
perfect for someone like you.
Well, thankfully,
Yeah.
he didn't got the insult. He thought that's a compliment.
think it
California
is.
agrees, but
Yep.
you mentioned earlier in a previous discussion that we have free speech, we can say what we want.
Right.
But the thing is, have you been punched on the train for how you look and how you share your
Do you-
ideas?
do I look like an American to you? Do you see this nose?
No, I'm just
I'm
asking,
Middle
has-
Eastern. You know what's happened to this guy? You know what's happened to me when I was discriminated
you
all
really
over the place?
feel like that's free
But-
speech
no,
if
but,
you're being
but I don't mind
punished
it. I don't.
by people who have prejudice
I
against
don't
you?
mind it because I understand there is risk that you may be disrespected. There, like here, I've been disrespected here many times. I've been offended here many times. A lot of you are coming here finding a way to attack me and tell different stories. I'm okay with
don't
that.
wanna attack you. I
You're
want-
being very respectful. I'm not talking about you. But what I'm saying to you is, when you say, "Have you ever been punched in the face on a bus?" You don't want to hear about what things has happened to me because of the way I look.
Because I feel
but
like
I don't want to use
you've
that.
been through a lot of trauma
This guy looks like Jesus. Who's gonna punch him, man?
I don't
in your
wanna-
life,
but what I-
and now you're kind of clinging to things
I'm
that
not. What I don't want to
think
do
you
that.
are.
I have my son is sitting right here, my 13-year-old son, my 4-year. I have 4 kids. I bring them everywhere. I want them to see that it's okay. People gonna disagree with you. You
I
have to
am
be
with
comfortable with
13-year-olds
this.
all the time.
You are with
I-
13-year-olds all the time.
Because of my job, because I'm a substitute teacher and a tutor. The thing
Got
is,
it.
you
I
can
got it.
I'm telling you, this guy seems fishy, man.
apply
Yeah.
many different things,
Got
and
it.
that is your right. But what I'm saying is, right now,
Yeah.
I care deeply about having a good experience. The incentive that I feel is for peace and prosperity.
I respect it.
And again, I'm using my freedom now, but the
I
issue is
respect
you're
it.
saying we have all these options, but whenever I tour
You
the
do,
globe,
but
I
you-
see franchises that have monopolized pretty much everywhere. So
Sure.
when you talk
Yeah,
about
that's
options, it's
fine.
really, there's these select few people who have this infrastructure that's really benefiting them more than others, and without some sort of conscious spiritual moral awakening, what can we do except for beg and appeal and
Well, no,
amass?
you can't be too selective. At
Well,
the
but you-
beginning,
again,
when I worked at
don't like that
Haagen-Dazs, I
word
couldn't be too
can't because you're
selective for a
saying
job.
I can't whenever I can.
Dude, I don't think he has actually applied for hundreds of jobs, and he's not desperate for a job. He's just trying to make a point. And why is he dressed as some like ancient guy, like someone who ran away from like Roman Empire? I don't know. Why is he dressed like that?
Choice.
I'm just
Thank you so
asking. I mean,
much.
it's
Nice.
okay to
Appreciate you
dress
for
like
being
whatever you
respectful.
want, but like what?
I'm glad y'all tripped over each other because I did too. How's it going? James.
What's your name? James.
So, one of the things that you have stated is that we have options. Okay? So, just to give you a little bit of my background, I come from a divorced family, and we lived below the poverty level from the time that I was born until now, frankly. So, I'm one of those people that you're talking about that isn't pulling themselves up by their bootstraps enough. Which, like, I didn't have boots to begin with, and, like, I don't know if you've ever had boots, but, like, legs are load-bearing
relate.
structures.
I relate.
And, like, you can't really pull up a boot when you're wearing it, you know? So, where exactly am I failing when I am working 80 hours a week? I am taking the only jobs that will hire me. I have put in 477 applications over the last 2.5 years. Not even gotten a call back once.
Why do you
That's
think?
a lot.
You tell me. You're
No, no.
you're a job creator.
But I don't know your resume. You know your life better than I do. Why do you think you have not gotten a call back on 477?
Because
Because
I
a lot of
do
people
not
get
have a degree.
callbacks. Okay.
Because I do not have a degree.
I
Because
don't
I could
either.
not afford one.
Okay.
I live in an area where the physical job market is very limiting.
Where do you live?
I live in rural Texas.
Okay.
So in that, like in the town that I grew up in, for instance, there are 8 jobs. Period.
Does your family live there? Mom, dad, everybody's in that same city?
Everybody was at one point.
Okay.
Most of them are dead now.
Okay, sorry to hear.
It is what it is. It's poverty. You know, we're kind of used to that on this side.
Why do you feel like you're a victim? Why do you feel like you're a victim? Why do you feel like the way you speak, like, you know, you're the victim where all this happened to you?
Because I exist and things happen to
Well, why do you see
and
yourself
as
as a
such,
victim?
things happen, and that's why I say that they happen
You're
to
a
me.
good-looking guy. Why
Thanks.
do you think you're a victim? Why do you think you're somebody that's got into a situation because it's not fair what happened to me? Let me give you a couple options.
Sure.
Are you open to leaving the city you're in?
I've already left it.
So what city?
I've left multiple cities.
So if somebody else gave you a job in a different place, you'd be
100%.
willing to move there?
100%.
Okay. On your resume,
It says that.
What do you have on your resume? Skill set. What do you offer?
Transportation expertise, logistics expertise.
You consider yourself a hard worker.
I mean, I feel
You
like
said
80 hours a week.
That's a
something like
hard
that.
worker.
Sure.
How about we do this? How about I interview and I give you a job? Would
Sure.
you move to Fort Lauderdale?
Ooh, man, that's Florida. Sure, why not?
Would you move to Fort Lauderdale?
Sure, why not?
How about you and I document this? After this, you come, I do an interview with you, and I give you a job. And let's see what you do 90 days later.
Okay,
That's good.
I'll look up your company and all that kind of stuff, and I'll see it.
But you
like,
see what just happened
regardless,
right there? But
Mike.
watch what you just did.
Sure.
You just said you applied to 477 companies who's not gone back to you.
Yeah.
A business owner who's hiring aggressively just made an offer to you. You said you're willing to move. Then you said, I'll look at it. You became selective.
I didn't
You
say I look at it.
contradicted
If you'd let me
yourself.
finish my sentence.
Go ahead. I want to hear it.
I would like to look into your company to
Yeah.
see exactly what you guys do.
Dude, you've been applying to 420, 470, whatever job you apply in more than 400. Again, these guys are not desperate. They don't really need the job. They just want to make the point. It's just like they've been given a talking point and they gotta complete that mission and they're gonna say those points. That's all they're trying to do. So when they do this made up stuff, which I think is made up, they are completely lying. I think so. Because if someone really is that desperate who's applied for 400, dude, imagine applying for 400 different jobs and then someone tells you, I'll give you a job, let me know what you can do. And then he tells you what he can do and he's like, well, okay, if you're gonna come here and do the job, well, I'll look into your company. What do you mean? You don't have an option when you're applying for 477 job. You need to just say yes to any job that comes in, no matter what it is. Even if you can't do it, say yes and figure it out on, once you start doing the job. You need money, you know. This is crazy.
Would like to.
Because I don't know what you guys do.
Yeah. It's like the rich people thing, You gotta look at you gotta look at a company. You gotta look at what they do, It should be righteous enough for me to do. No.
So as far as I'm concerned, I may be wasting my time going. If you guys are a finance company, if you guys are
You're wasting your time by not doing anything.
a bank or something like that, I don't have the certifications. I don't have the degrees. So even interviewing me
But
would be
what
a
if
moot
I
point.
gave you a job, period, to work 80 hours a week? Would you
Right.
take it? and I paid you a reasonable wage.
Are we talking a livable wage or a reasonable wage?
What do
And
you make
whose
right
version
now?
of reasonable are we
What do you
talking
make
about?
right
Your
now?
version of reasonable or my version of reasonable?
So now, for me, what I'm noticing from you is
I need specifics?
no, not necessarily. No, most of the people I hire need specifics. The difference is I'm trying to hire them. In this instance, you're trying to get a job and you're being selective. It's going to work against you.
I mean, I'm not trying to get a job. Originally, I was
My
trying to
offer is
ask you
off
where the
table.
moral
My offer is
moral.
off the table
Okay, that's
because
fine.
you're going to be difficult to work with.
Okay, sure. But my question was, where is my moral failing? Like, where is it?
Dude, he said my offer's off the table, and the guy didn't even like flinch. He's like, oh, okay, doesn't matter. He didn't need a job at all.
That you are saying that I am not working hard enough and I am not doing
I just
enough.
experienced it right now because the way you just handled this situation
Got it. So
here
I should
was-
accept anything
No,
that somebody
it's not-
gives me
not
at
at
first
all.
blush
No.
if it is a guaranteed
No,
thing.
not necessarily,
I agreed
but-
I agreed to do your interview. I agreed to be interviewed by you,
Yeah,
and you
but-
agreed to consider me for hiring.
Yeah.
So therefore, I am taking that opportunity. I've chosen to. But because I am asking you for specifics, your immediate reaction is that, oh, well, you're trying to be picky. When I'm not. I'm asking you.
specifics. You could have simply
I said I need to look up your company. That's all I
you could have
said.
said is, I'm willing to have the interview.
And I
Right?
did.
You would have had the interview.
And I did.
No, you said it depends.
I said,
don't
yeah,
know.
sure.
Let me look.
Yeah,
Let me do
sure.
all
I
this
would
other
look
stuff.
into your company. That's all I
I
said.
appreciate you.
Dude, I got a better way to say what that guy was doing. He needs to stop being a pussy. Period. You can't just go around talking like that with that attitude and get a job. I'm glad that those people didn't hire you. Dude, you're gonna be like a pain in the ass for all the other workers. So it's good that they didn't hire you. Even if you applied, I don't think you did. I don't think you applied for like 477 jobs. It's crazy that all of these people, if you notice anything in this video, from my angle at least, this is what it looks like. Everyone looks at Patrick as he's above them. They don't look at him as a human being. They're like, you're an elitist, you're rich, or you're a crony capitalist. And to pick out the problems of capitalism, which there are problems like the housing crisis. There are many problems with capitalism, of course. It's not a perfect system. Neither anyone claimed it's perfect. It's just the best system till now that we have for now. Maybe in future we're going to have a better system. But for now, this is the best system we could find. And this is what we're following. And also that everybody have a victim mentality. Like they are the victim. Oh my God, this happened to me, that happened to me. These people's mindset can be summed up into this one sentence that was said by Winston Churchill. It was, I guess, a pessimist see every single opportunity as a problem, and an optimist see every single problem as an opportunity. And that's why people who believe they can do things are the ones who actually do things. And the people who always believe that they are the victim and they're, oh, I'm this and I'm that, I'm poor, and I'm this, this happened to me, that happened to me. They'll never really do anything in life. I'll see you in the next one. And if you like the video, then like the video. Share, subscribe to the channel and share the video with more people who would like to see a video like this. And I'll see you in the next one. Till then, take care everyone and bye-bye.